Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
Yeah, we've been talking feats.
Yes, we have. Feat.
We've got more feats to talk about.
Yes.
And if we finish the feats early enough, we have some other stuff to discuss.
We'll talk about boons, a special thing in the DM's guide.
Yes.
To be used. But we've got, I think we started last time on Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
On Sentinel, which is a good one. We started on a good one.
Sentinel, very, very good feat. We had a good conversation on it last time. The next feat is Shadow Touched.
Well, then.
Which is your exposure to Shadowfell's magic has changed you. You increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. And you learn the invisibility spell and 1 first-level spell of your choice. Daniel Boone. Pat Boone. The first-level spell must be from an illusion or necromancy school of magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast that spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have of the appropriate level, and the spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat.
It raises an attribute point and gives you free spells to cast.
Yep.
That counts as a winner, yeah.
Pretty great. Free invisibility is pretty nice.
Guess I'll take it.
And as a reminder, you don't have to cast invisibility on yourself. You can cast it on someone else.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
I'm going to make the barbarian invisible. Sharpshooters next.
This is a good one.
You have mastered ranged weapons and can make shots that others find impossible. Attacking at long range does not impose disadvantage on your ranged weapon attack rolls. Your ranged weapon attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. And before you make an attack with a ranged weapon that you're proficient with, you can choose to take a -5 penalty to the attack roll. If the attack hits, you add +10 to the attack's damage.
I've used this a lot. If you're using ranged weapons, just take it.
Yeah,
if you're using bows, take it.
Yep. There's no reason not to.
Especially if your stats were kind to you on your roll. Mm-hmm. Or if you did a point buy so you can get, kind of get closer to the stats you want, you got a high dexterity. Dropping taking that negative on your roll for the extra 10 points because it's just poison at low levels.
Yeah.
It really is.
Sharpshooter is the name of this feat.
Yeah, it's probably, like I said, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Personally.
Oh, he's very far away? No problem. Oh, he's partly behind cover? No problem.
Well, this is what, when I promise you, when you have your ranger, your archer in mind, you're picturing them with this feat.
Yeah.
The shots that you can pull off and stuff. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, Dark. Sorry about the ads. Especially when they freeze.
Ooh.
Yeah, Sharpshooter's pretty great. Next up is Shield Master. You use shields not just for protection, but also for offense. If you take the attack action on your turn, you can use a bonus action to try and shove a creature within 5 feet of you with your shield. If you aren't incapacitated, you can add your shield's AC bonus to any dexterity saving throw you make against a spell or other harmful effect that targets only you. And if you're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, you can use your reaction to take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw, interposing your shield between yourself and the source of the effect, and that counts for fireball.
Yeah, this is really, it counts for fireball. Put that in there. It's a really good one. The also, if you're in a situation where you're running, one-on-one, you're running with a friend, like, hey, it's your turn to DM for a little while, you're running for a character. This is, if you're a solo character, this is just a great. It doubles the value of this feat.
It also lets you utilize your shield in a different way, and that may not seem like it's super useful right now, but every single fight you have this option. Every single fight, which means eventually there's going to come a time where you can use it. And it's things like this that open up. In video game terminology, we call it increasing your moveset, right? Things that increase your moveset are always better than things that just give you more numbers. Because increasing your moveset means you have more options. Yeah. And that's literally what Shield Master does. It just gives you more options.
No, a solo, like I said, solo paladin, solo fighter, it's a good one. It really makes that shield valuable.
Yes. Next up is Skill Expert. You honed your proficiency with particular skills, granting you the following benefits. Increase one ability score of your choice by 1. You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. And choose one skill in which you have proficiency. You gain expertise with that skill, which means your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make with it. The skill you choose must be one that isn't already benefiting from a feature such as expertise that doubles your proficiency bonus.
If you don't know what you're doing, this feat's worthless.
Right.
If you have the right character, this feat can make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of those situational ones. Or I feel it is.
This is the 4th one, I think, Dark. Also doing good. Yeah.
Doing pretty good.
Especially if you go with like a rogue that already gets expertise. Then they can just take another one with expertise. It's very, very good.
Yes. But I say if you're playing the barbarian smash.
Right.
It's probably not gonna do much for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably already proficient in intimidation.
It's not a good feat for me. Very
That's
good.
what you need.
Very good.
This one's a weird feat in a lot of ways, but it's skilled. You gain proficiency in any combination of 3 skills or tools of your choice.
Yeah, I think this is a low level feat you take to flesh out. You have an idea of what your character is in mind.
Right.
You kind of have it detailed, and the rules don't quite let you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And you take this feat, you kind of pick up some other little skills that they have.
Yeah.
This kind of goes hand in hand with the other one. What we talked about with the skills, it would if it's a right situation, it's really gonna flesh out your character or really push your character to be something really special.
Right.
Or it may just sit by the wayside and never get used.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's again situational to the character.
Yeah. When I think of this feat, I always think of, and this is very much a me thing, I always think of like Edmond Dantes from Count of Monte Cristo. It's like he was a sailor. And then he was a prisoner, and then he might as well have taken this feat because suddenly he's an expert in all these other things that he built up over years getting ready for his revenge,
Well, a more recent one that makes me think of is who would have skilled is, I've got the books over there on my shelf, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
The Call of the,
Name of the Wind?
Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sanderson also skilled, though, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but no, the character in there, because
sure.
they're interviewing, and it's like he's just...
Yeah, Kavoth is good at everything.
Yeah, he's just good enough at everything, yes, to get through. Good books, by the way. I'm waiting for the next one.
For sure. Yeah, I like skilled.
Yeah.
You know what else is skilled? No, we're not sponsored by Skillshare, but I mean, I'm just saying, if we were, Skillshare, you missed out. That would have been an opportunity right there. Email us at fullspectrumpodcast@gmail.com.
We'll do a whole thing on skills.
That's right. Skulker is next. The prerequisite is Dexterity 13 or higher. You're an expert at slinking through shadows. You can try to hide when you are lightly obscured from the creature which you are hiding, which is already very good.
Yeah.
When you are hidden from a creature and miss it with a ranged weapon attack, making the attack doesn't reveal your position.
Yeah.
And dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your perception checks relying on sight.
Yeah, and this is a very useful one. I think the only class that might end up not being very useful later on would be a rogue.
Yeah.
And I'm actually thinking it would be a subclass of rogue, maybe assassin.
Right.
That it would be kind of pointless to take this feat. But there's just, once again, if you're going with the archer and you have this with sharpshooter and you're hidden and you get your an advantage of 10.
I don't know where I am then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, being able to try and hide when you're lightly obscured, that includes party members. Like if you're small and you get behind a large party member or a medium-sized party member, depending on your DM, you can go for hiding because, hey, they can't see me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm lightly obscured, you know?
That you can run into that with D&D as well, though D&D is going to be based off your attribute score. So if your attribute score, and it's going to be 13. So if your attribute scores are good, most likely you'll have no trouble as a multi-class. And that's, in 5th edition, that's an optional rule.
Yeah.
However, I will say if you don't have 13 in that, you're not going to be very effective in that class.
Right.
But yeah, there's no skill set thing. That's kind of a... But then again, you're playing a much more in-depth game when it comes to the rules and what you're rolling and the creation of the character.
That's right.
So,
Next up is Slasher. You've learned where to cut to have the greatest results. Increase your strength or dex by 1 to a max of 20. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals slashing damage, you can reduce the speed of the target by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you score a critical hit that deals slashing damage to a creature, you grievously wound it. Till the start of your next turn, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It is. It is.
People forget this feat. And then when they take it, they forget they have it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Very true. One, anytime you can impose disadvantage, I don't care how. Because that's the trick to 5e, really.
Yeah.
Is advantage and disadvantage. You can get yourself advantage and get the enemy disadvantage. You've gone halfway. You're halfway to winning the battle.
Yeah.
And so anytime you can get anything that will give you something that will allow you to do that, and especially when it does multiple attacks, because you've got that creature that's got 6 attacks, those next 6 attacks are being rolled with disadvantage. That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. It's a very strong feat.
Dark, in older editions, every feat had a prerequisite. And as we've moved forward, those prerequisites have dropped more and more.
Yeah.
I would say now it's probably 10% of feats have prerequisites.
Yeah.
But
and that you're counting the race feats, right? Racial feats, yeah. And it's kind of D&D in 5th edition. I think to me Pathfinder feels more closer, not the same, but a lot closer. Like if we were discussing 2nd edition, just a feel, and the depth of it. But yeah, 5th edition doesn't have near the restrictions that earlier edition.
Yeah, it's a lot more open. Back in the day, I mean, you and I have talked about this, but clerics had to use blunt weapons. They couldn't use slashing weapons at all. If you wanted to be an effective cleric, you basically had to be a dragonborn or a human. If you wanted to be an effective barbarian, you either needed to be human, half-orc, or dwarf. If you wanted to be an effective caster, you had to be human or elf, you know?
Yeah, that's you're going back to, that's 3rd edition, yeah. A lot of those are holdovers from 2nd edition,
right?
And then of course the 1st edition rules are really silly. Not silly, I don't say, but they're compared to how we play games now and what you can make.
Yeah,
it's really tight.
It is
really strict.
It is.
Like, and there's different amounts of it. Even in 2nd edition, I don't know how it was in 3rd edition, but even in 2nd edition, it takes, as you're going up in your wizard class, when you start getting up to 8th, 9th, 10th level like that, it takes a lot of experience points to get to that next level. Because when you're, as a wizard, when you hit that level, it's going to be real powerful.
Right.
You know, it's not going to take as much if you're a fighter.
Right.
And going through that.
3.5's biggest issue was that there were races that were just better than everybody else because they could take things that were better than everybody else. Drow and Minotaurs were both so incredibly good because Minotaurs could take a feat that allowed them to smash, basically, when they used a big heavy weapon. So if you're playing a barbarian, why wouldn't you play a Minotaur barbarian?
Yeah.
Because they can do a thing that nobody else can do.
Yes.
And then Drows for fighters, because Drow were able to use Fairy Fire as a bonus action on their own attacks. Yeah. They could Fairy Fire bonus action and the slash. So Drow was almost always like your fighter.
Yeah. Because, or is there another reason? Well, in the 1st edition, it was just the way they said it.
Yeah.
Like, elves are magical beings, so they were your casters. Dwarves were your dwarf was highly magical resistant,
right?
To the point where it's like there's no point in giving the dwarf a magic ring. I mean,
right.
His leg might disappear, but the rest of it wouldn't. And that was to their benefit and doubt. And so you had elf, dwarf, human, which had the most options for things.
Yeah.
And it was just limited off. Of course, it really kind of mattered in early editions what subclass you took.
It did. It absolutely did.
Because like I said, if you took human, you could do it just about anything, and be good at it.
Yeah,
like that. But the bonuses and stuff that you got from taking other races in earlier editions, really kind of lined out, made it special. And it really, honestly, it wasn't until the MMO thing got big that humans became like the
base class.
The base class, yes. They had their own special thing, and it was what they could learn and what they could pull off in their short lifetime.
Yeah, and it's for better and worse, right? Because 5e being so much more open means that you can kind of play whatever, But there's also something nice about the older edition style of, hey, this race may not be able to do all these other things, but it's very unique. It's very different. In 3.5, the Thri-Kreen could wield 2 sets of weapons because they had 4 arms, which means that they were the only class that could hit. As a Thri-Kreen monk could punch like 9 times in a round just at base. And there was something really satisfying about that. Even though, because it was so good, there was really no reason to play a human monk, you know?
Well, also the Thri-Kreen used to be I can't think of a good word. Not brittle, maybe not soft.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't. I don't know.
The
There was
exoskeleton could break so easily.
Yeah, but there was weird balances.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, feats. Thri-Kreen are bug people. They're really cool. Hopefully they're coming to 5e soon.
Yeah.
Spell Sniper is next, and the prerequisite here is the ability to cast at least 1 spell. You've learned techniques to enhance your attacks with certain kinds of spells. When you cast a spell that requires you to make an attack roll, the spell's range is doubled. Your ranged spell attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover, and you learn 1 cantrip that requires an attack roll. Choose this cantrip from the Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorc, or Warlock or Wizard spell list. Your spellcasting ability for this cantrip depends on the spell list you choose from. Charisma for Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wisdom for Cleric or Druid, Intelligence for Wizard.
Yeah, as long as you've got the right stat, that is an amazing feat for the spell you want to take, or the cantrip you want to take. Like I said, that's anything that lets you cast spells and cast them better. It's pretty strong.
And double the range is like, you're not going to realize how much you want that until you don't have it.
Yeah, and this is one of the feats in a weird way. It kind of makes things like tricky on a DM.
Yeah, it does.
Because there's a few spells out there that you're really putting a range out there that's not going to be within range of your typical battlefield.
Right.
You know what you're running.
Also, just a quick reminder,
as a monk.
You don't get to double the range on touch spells. Your touch spells don't go out another 5 feet.
Yes, they do. They don't go another 5 feet. They double. 0 times 2.
Yes. I've seen people try and
like
claim
when you doubled my salary last month.
That's true. That's true. I've seen people try and claim that, and it's just like, no, you don't then get another hand that comes out of your hand because you have this feat. That's not how that works. Squat Nimbleness is next, which is a really fun feat. Your prerequisite is a dwarf or small race.
Mm-hmm.
You are uncommonly nimble for your race. Increase your strength or dex by 1. Increase your walking speed by 5 feet. You gain proficiency in the acrobatics or athletics skill, and you have advantage on any athletics or acrobatics checks you make to escape from being grappled.
Yeah. If you're a small race, I'm not sure.
Nice.
This is definitely one of the ones that's got to be on your list, right?
Yeah.
When it comes time to pick a feat, this one you've got to at least glance over this one.
Yes, it's very good. Just that extra 5 feet alone, like, it's very good. It's nice.
I understand your argument. I would say it would for a dwarf. I could argue it for a dwarf. I do understand your argument. Yeah. Yes. For a lot of small races, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, it's probably a top 10 feet for in that category. Then
we get the Strixhaven feats, which we talked about in the Strixhaven episode. We'll cover them really quickly, but the big discussion was there. Strixhaven Initiate. You have studied some magical theory and have learned a few spells associated with Strixhaven Academy. Choose one of the colleges: Lorehold, Prismari, Quandrix, Silverquill, Witherbloom. You learn 2 cantrips and 1 first level spell based on the college you choose. You can cast the chosen first level spell without a spell slot. You must finish a long rest before you can cast it that way again. You can also cast the spell using any spell slots you have. And the spellcasting ability for the feat spell is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, and you choose when you select the feat. The spells are from Lorehold, Light, Sacred Flame, or Thaumaturgy. From Prismari, Firebolt, Prestidigitation, and Ray of Frost. From Quandrix, Druidcraft, Guidance, and Mage Hand. From Silverquill, Sacred Flame, Thaumaturgy, and Vicious Mockery. And from Witherbloom, Chill Touch, Druidcraft, and Spare the Dying.
Yeah, like I said, we talked about these before, but at one point that I brought up from then, if you're allowing these in your campaign, make sure everybody knows, because these are really strong.
They are.
for comparatively over. I mean, there's some we've definitely talked about some great ones as we've got up to this point, right? But these are stout, man.
Being able to start the campaign with Light and Sacred Flame, or
Sacred Flame,
Druidcraft and Guidance, just for free.
Yeah, and what was the one with Mage Hand?
Yeah, that's Quandrix also has Mage Hand.
Yeah.
Or Spare the Dying. I mean, realistically, if you're playing a cleric and you don't take Spare the Dying, this is a great way to just get Spare the Dying for free.
Yeah, it's like I said, it is stout.
It's better, I think, than this next one, which is Strixhaven Mascot. The prerequisites that you be at least 4th level and that you have the Strixhaven Initiate feat. You've learned how to summon a Strixhaven Mascot to assist you. You can cast the Find Familiar spell as a ritual. Your familiar can take the form of the mascot associated with the college you chose. The Spirit Star mascot, the Elemental mascot, the Fractal mascot, the Inkling mascot, or the Pest mascot. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can forego 1 attack to allow your mascot familiar to make 1 attack of its own with its reaction. And if your mascot familiar is within 60 feet of you, you can teleport as an action, swapping places with the familiar. If your destination space is too small for you to occupy, the teleportation fails and is wasted. Once you teleport in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of 2nd level or higher to do it again.
All right. Yes, it does. You can cast through that and through familiars, and that's okay. But I think for what it's worth, I would just take a feat that allows me to cast Find Familiar.
Yeah.
And take the benefits that come along with that feat.
Right. The teleport's nice, though.
It is. The switching.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Spare the Dying is a really, really good cantrip for that fact. You can stop somebody from just dying.
Yes.
They don't get to come back to the fight right then, but they also don't die.
Yeah. No more death saves for you.
These mascots are cool. If it was Strixhaven Summon Groff, it would be better. just throwing that out there.
It would be.
Next up is, Lord help me, Sverfneblin Magic. I got it. Prerequisite is you have to be a gnome, a deep gnome specifically.
Yeah, deep gnome.
You have inherited the innate... Sverfneblin. You have inherited the innate spellcasting ability of your ancestors. This ability allows you to cast non-detection on yourself at will without needing a material component. You can also cast each of the following spells once with this ability: Blindness, Deafness, Blur, and Disguise Self. You regain the ability to use these spells when you finish a long rest. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for these spells, and you cast them at their lowest possible levels. For anybody who doesn't know, non-detection, it's 8-hour duration, and for the duration, you hide a target that you touch from divination magic. Target can be a willing creature or a place or an object no larger than 10 feet in any dimension. It can't be targeted by any divination magic or perceived through magical scrying sensors.
I think it would be really fun in an Underdark campaign. Have the players all be hiding from like the Loth and the Dark Elves.
Yeah.
And it would, trying to receive the ancient magic back to get the ancient kingdom.
Yeah.
I think I see the mechanic difference between what Pathfinder's doing there with the heals and bringing them back.
Right.
Because I think technically I double check, but if you heal somebody who's doing death saves, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
In D&D,
yeah.
You have to do that before heal saves will work.
Yeah, you have to stabilize them first.
So it's not like Pathfinder's like, look, they're healing. That healing is going to, bring them back. So
yeah, it's supposed to make it where you can't just go like, here,
get up.
Yeah, death means something. Tavern Brawler is next. This is a fun feat.
This is
accustomed to rough and tumble fighting using whatever weapons happen to be at hand. You increase your strength or con score by 1 to a max of 20. You're proficient with improvised weapons. Your unarmed strike uses a D4 for damage. And when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or improvised weapon on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to grapple the target.
Yeah. The one just being able to grab smack stuff, getting a D4 on your punch is cool. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of things that probably make this a little bit better. It would level with you, maybe on the damage.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Or if they're not going to do that, finish the brute.
Right.
Because there's not a better class I can think of.
Yeah.
That would go with.
Use everyday items as weapons instead. To clarify, Spare the Dying is an immediate cast. Can't be used before the fight. Yeah, Tavern Brawler's cool. I agree with you. I think it would be better if the damage scaled with you as well.
Yeah.
But it's nice to just be able to pick up something and use it.
Yes, it is. And hey, every once in a while a good tavern fight in a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Is cathartic.
Pick up the mug, pick up the chair, pick up the table, pick up the guy, hit the other guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
See?
I don't know what you did with the table and the chair and everything else. Telekinetic is next. You learn to move things with your mind.
With your mind.
Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a max of 20. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip. You can cast it without verbal or somatic components, and you can make the spectral hand invisible. If you already know this spell, its range increases by 30 feet when you cast it. The spellcasting ability is the ability is decreased by this feat. As a bonus action, you can try to telekinetically shove one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. When you do so, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw, DC 8 plus your prop bonus plus the ability modifier of the score increased by this feat, or be moved 5 feet toward you or away from you. A creature can willingly fail this save.
Yeah. This is really cool. Like I said, one, you get a spell, and you get an attribute increase.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'll take it. And then, like I said, if you have Mage Hand, this is one where even if you have what it gives you, it's
probably worth taking.
Still
anyway
really good
for the extra 30 feet, and you can cast it at any time without verbal or somatic. You can make it invisible. There is a spell you can cast beforehand that pulls people back up. I can't remember the name of it. All I can think of is the FF14 ability, Excog.
I know,
Cogitation.
because in the last campaign, the last few fights, it was cast a lot. I can't remember what it was.
It's a very good spell. I can't remember the name of it. It's not a small level wise either. I think it's like level 4, level 5.
No, because he was level 17 casting it.
Titan Wrestler, get feat to let you use non-weapons as weapons. Simply pick up large creatures and smack medium creatures.
A new feat.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. The next one is Telepathic. You awaken the ability to mentally connect with others. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. You can speak telepathically to any creature you can see within 60 feet of you. Your telepathic utterances, that's the word, are in a language you know, and the creature understands you only if it knows that language. Your communication doesn't give the creature the ability to respond to you telepathically. Very important.
Yeah.
You can cast the Detect Thoughts spell, requiring no spell slot or components, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it this way again. Your spellcasting ability for that spell is the ability increased by this feat. If you have spell slots at second level or higher, you can cast this spell with them.
Okay. See statement on former about attribute raising and spell.
Yep.
Also, the Detect Thoughts on the once again, man, the right campaign. This could be groundbreaking to push it forward.
All right, dear viewer, get ready. I'm going to telepathically speak to you in a language that only you know. That's right, I did tell you to subscribe. How did you know? You must understand that language, and that language is the YouTube algorithm. So if you can go ahead and subscribe, like this video while you're at it, very much would appreciate it.
Maybe
subscribe to us on
comment.
Twitch, give us a follow. Thank you so much. Let's move on to tough, which is how we have to be when we have to deal with YouTube. Death Ward. That's it. That's a great spell.
Death Ward. Very good.
Tough is one of the best feats in the game.
It really is, and to take at any time.
Yep.
If you don't know what to take tough.
Just talk to you a Death Weasel. Nice. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this feat. Whatever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. Take it early, you'll have all the health you need.
Well, even if you take it late, it's retroactive.
Yeah, it is.
So you will get those back.
I just think this is one of them that you should go ahead and take early.
Yeah. You reap benefits automatically either way. But yes, it's an amazing feat when you're standing there and you are 20 to 30 hit points higher than the next member in the group.
Yep.
When nobody else has it. Yeah, it's just very good, especially, obviously, especially for your tanks. Getting up there, just an extra bonus.
It's nice to not die.
It's really 1 per level, but I think
more health is never a bad thing.
Right, yeah, more health. Absolutely.
Next up is Warcaster. You need the ability to cast at least one spell to take this feat. You have practiced casting spells in the midst of combat, learning techniques that grant you the following benefits. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your concentration. You can perform the somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or a shield in one or both hands. And when a hostile creature movement provokes an opportunity attack from you, you can spend your reaction to cast a spell at the creature rather than making an opportunity attack. The spell must have a casting time of 1 action and must only target that creature. So good.
The
Another dying
yeah,
soul
if you're not a caster, you may not understand. But yeah, having your concentration broke at a inopportune time.
Yep.
Is awful.
And it feels weird in a way to have the reaction also added to this. That feels like that should be another feat. How good that is, too.
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to move away from me? Well, I can't cast AoE spells on you.
Yeah.
I can't reach you really with my weapon anyway. I'm not using my weapon.
Yeah.
But I can hit you with a moonbeam as you try to get away from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of why a caster wouldn't look at this. I don't think because I think every caster's gonna have a couple of spells in the pocket that's gonna rely on concentration.
Yep.
And those are usually really handy.
Yeah. They're very, very good. Haste is a big one. If you're going to be casting haste on your party and you don't take Warcaster.
And the reaction thing, just allowing it to use a spell for your opportunity attack. That kind of balances the field a little bit for your casters.
Toll the Dead.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from me? Toll the Dead.
Yeah. Eldritch Blast.
Yes, that's the big one. This feat, not quite as good as the last couple. This is Weapon Master. You've practiced extensively with a variety of weapons. Increase your dex or your strength by 1. You gain proficiency with 4 weapons of your choice. Each one must be a simple or a martial weapon. That sounds great on paper. It really does. Here's the problem with it. 5e changed the way we do proficiency for weapon types.
Yes.
If you are a class that uses martial weapons, you're probably proficient in all martial weapons already.
Yeah. Because if you have the martial weapon, in order to have the martial weapons, you got to have simple. So you got to have the list up to martial weapons anyway.
Right.
It's like if you're proficient in heavy armor, you can wear any armor.
Right. You don't need to then take light armor proficiency.
Yeah.
You just have it.
Yeah.
And it's a holdover. Don't get me wrong. In 4th, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
You need to take, because in 4th it was more of, hey, these specific magic, like an oath bow, right? An oath bow in 4th was, hey, there's nothing like the oath bow. 5th has a lot more magic items that have like variation, where, hey, instead of an oath bow, here is a +4 crossbow. You know, so if you were using crossbows and you found an oath bow, well, now you have to take something to use that oath bow because it's going to be better than any crossbow you ever find.
Fair.
You know, whereas 5th doesn't really have that. So this feat's not as good.
No, I think it's a holdover from because we don't have weapon proficiencies.
Right.
You're good with weapons.
Well, we don't really use like Vorpal blades now either. It's like stuff just has their Vorpal swords.
They have the Vorpal property.
It's
That's
not,
true.
hey, here's one Vorpal sword and you need to be proficient with swords because you found a Vorpal sword.
Yeah.
You know, die mechanics work differently. 3 die. Yeah. Death saves is you roll 3 fails basically.
Yeah, and if you roll a 1, that counts as 2 fails. If you roll a 20, if you crit it, roll a 20, you're automatically back up. You're good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Vorpal's a rune in Pathfinder. That's interesting. Wood Elf magic is our final feat. You must be an elf, wood elf, or a Valinor wood elf. And I just want to mention that it's really funny the way that D&D Beyond has this classed out, because it's elf, parentheses, wood elf, Valinor wood elf, and Arini wood elf. That's just, you're an elf. You learn the magic of the primeval woods, which are revered and protected by your people. You learn 1 druid cantrip of your choice. You also learn the Long Strider and Pass Without Trace spells, each of which you can cast once without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to cast these 2 spells in this way when you finish a long rest, and Wisdom is the spellcasting ability for all 3 spells. It's okay.
Yeah. It's just not... like I said, it seems more flavor, I guess.
Yeah.
To it, like I have the power of my ancestors. I want to do that.
Alfalfa. He eats cats.
Yeah, keep your cats away.
Oh, but that is all of our feats.
Mm-hmm. Which is not a bad thing. I'm sure we'll have more before the year's up.
I'm sure.
It's not a bad system in 5e.
Mm-hmm.
And I think going through them, obviously some of these are just so either weak or almost unnecessary with the way the game's played now.
Yeah.
And then again, like we talked about with the Strix, when there's some of them that are just so stout, especially if you grab at early levels, they're game changing.
There are some feats that feel like we mentioned, holdovers, and then some feats that are absolutely you have to take these. And in an ideal system, all feats would be equally useful.
Yeah.
And we're definitely not there yet. I think some of the later feats that have come out are a lot more powerful and fall in line with like, hey, yeah, this is a must take, like a tough or some of these other ones. But there are definitely a lot more feats that just don't.
Yeah, and with what they're doing with the classes, not too long ago we talked about the variant rules that made a huge change and for 5e makes the Ranger viable.
Yeah.
Using those rules instead of the original rules that came with it. And I think what they're doing that with the classes and what we looked at in our preview of the Tome of Foes that were coming out in there, and then what they showed us over the past couple of books that we reviewed.
Sure. The stuff with the lineages and everything there.
Yeah, that the game's just getting more powerful.
Mm-hmm. So it's time to give us some more powerful monsters.
I think so.
Time for the Boss Groff.
Well, like I said, they've got probably one of the most historically powerful monsters in D&D on the cover, and that's that. What is it? The Cosmic Behemoth.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just imagined a Groff with Boss Hogg's hat sitting in a Cadillac. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Awful.
Where's my Groff fan art?
I bet it's out there.
I bet it is. I'm kind of scared to search Groff fan art.
Turn on safe search.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right, though. We were going to start booths tonight. We're already 45 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah, but we had a couple of good diversions.
We did.
We'll talk about that. Since we're gonna stop the I'll take the head off. I was thinking about something today. I'm gonna ask you about because I realized that when I'm using gods in D&D, good diversions. I'm using guys. There's two ways I use them.
Right.
Either it goes by the stats, and these are usually ones that have been lifted to powers, right?
Sure.
And I use stats, and it could be the rules, or I will have the ultimate beings that no, I'm not going to roll for them to cast a spell that makes your mouth,
Right. They can just do that.
They can just do that, and I guess obviously on a different campaign. Do you find yourself doing that, or do you always?
It depends. We talked about this before. I steal a lot when it comes to my pantheons. I take gods from all over books and stuff like that, and I'll D&Dify them if I have to. But see what I did there? D&Dify. Yeah. A big one is I use Tomanek a lot from the War God's Own series by David Weber, and Tomanek is the god of war, right? That's what he does. He fights.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I would never roll for him to swing to hit something because he's going to hit it. He has been fighting for millennia, But if
so
that
would be the second one, right?
Right. But if the party goes to ask him a question that is I would make him roll wisdom saves, for instance, or intelligence saves, because he's a great fighter, but he's not a god of thinking, you know. So he can be tricked. He can be worked around in that way. And so to me, it depends. I guess if they're gonna fight him, and I want to give them a chance, then we'll roll on everything. But realistically, if you're trying to swing on Tomanek, you're not gonna hit Tomanek. He's going to block that attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. You better be 20th level, before I'm even letting you actually fight him.
Well, I was thinking about like in some earlier editions.
Spell.
A death face. Yeah, it was. I believe that was mass cast on Instagram like 3 years ago.
That's very true. That's very true.
I may be wrong. I might have to fact check that.
That's very true.
Well, that's the thing I'm saying. There's different ways you can play them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember playing Forgotten Realms, and in Forgotten Realms, the gods were kind of weak at the time through that arc of the campaign. Magic didn't work right. They lost lots of followers because in the D&D world, the more followers a god has, the more powerful they are. But in other campaigns I've run, I think those gods would be just as powerful.
Yeah.
With nobody there.
Right, I agree. That's how I run them as well. I don't run them like, I know the book specifically talks about the faith makes them stronger. I normally completely skip around that.
Yeah.
And go, hey, I don't even really treat them as gods per se. It's, hey, these are beings of such great power that they're worshipped as if they were gods. But as Dark is pointing out, in D&D, anybody can reach that power if they have the right time,
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates it is by the time players get to the point of actually being able to fight the gods, we are in legendary epic campaigns, and everything's different.
They had a section for that in second edition when they released 21 through 25. Your 5 levels, you were basically fighting on the god. You were fighting on God stature, God level, going on that. And I'm thinking within the next couple of years we'll have those 5 levels.
Yeah.
Tagged on.
Probably.
I think they got some stuff to fix getting up to I think they got some stuff to fix getting up to 20th level. Like I said, this game this game runs so well from 8th to 10th, I promise.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. That is the shining portion of 5th edition.
Everything just feels balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Monsters are easy to deal with, but still make challenging or threatening.
Yeah.
And then, the players get so daggum powerful.
Yeah. I had a campaign that never got to be finished, unfortunately, but that I was rolling around with where the big bad of the campaign was this warlord that, old classic story, had called up, because again, in the D&D world, they're obviously real, had called upon the gods to save his sister, and they did not, and she died. And so he became bitter and began hunting them. And he started with the weakest and got strong enough that he could kill the weakest one, and then began to hunt the others. And the players were basically in this world where the whole system was failing because the people had depended on these gods to provide for them stuff, and the gods were dying. And the party was supposed to level up enough that they could take on this warlord.
Yeah.
And it's fun to me that D&D allows hey, eventually you get strong enough that you are as strong as the gods,
Yeah.
And I think it's a really cool mechanic that doesn't really get played on that much, unfortunately.
Like I said, I think I have a feeling that a lot of people's campaigns are fizzling out, or DMs are realizing that, man, if I get this past 15th level, I have, I kind of have an issue.
Yeah.
So that might tie into it a little bit. Like I said, looking at what they're doing, what they're planning with, like Mordenkainen. I don't think if D&D was as smooth as they wanted it to be, we wouldn't be getting Mordenkainen.
I agree.
The new one.
I agree. They recognize the problems that are inherent in 5e, and they're working to try and fix them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's a lot like the problem that people have with FF14, right? A lot of the problems are systemic and can't just be fixed today. You have to pick at them little by little and pull the strings and fix that one until eventually you can fix the whole.
Yeah. Well, I think they're trying to avoid the just adding more rules to patch holes, because you run into a Godelian problem there,
right?
And you're going to end up with bigger issues down the line
mm-hmm.
as those break down. I don't know. Like I said, I don't necessarily know that there needs to be. I know we will get more feats, and there's going to be new ones coming out as we just went over. I think I would almost rather, before we got new feats, I take another look at this list,
Right.
and update a couple.
I
of
agree.
them.
I agree.
And I think that will, and make it more in line with what you're wanting to do, because you really, it seems to me they're really pushing for, at first level, you're not just an adventurer, you're a hero.
Right.
Which is okay, because that's normally how I run my campaign.
Yes.
There's something different about you. You're not just...
You have the makings of greatness.
Yeah. What is it that?
For sure. A rock that if you touch it, it makes you a god, and the people who have touched it keep it hidden.
I've been trying
That sounds like people.
Yeah, but I've been trying to think of where they might have picked that up from, if they got that. It sounds... it's either the Curse Stone in first edition D&D.
Right.
But I can't remember. Now, it makes you into, the creature it turns you into is not a god. It's a goofy looking thing, but it's like super, super powerful. Like you're invulnerable, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's I have no mouth and I'm a scream problem right there.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
What a hard story.
Right.
It's good, though.
It is. Ugh. Well, you know, we did mean originally to talk about boons tonight, and we didn't make it, and that's okay. It just means we have something to talk about for next week. But, you know, hopefully, we cover boons next week and get to have a good time there.
Well, since we didn't cover, since we didn't work on the boons, there's actually, that's part of a little bit of a bigger section.
Yeah.
Of me looking at it, of other things that you get outside of what you boons, special gifts.
Other rewards.
Marks
yes. Of prestige.
Yes, things like that. So we may be able to cover a little bit more on that, of things players can, like, maybe might become a goal for them, or things the DM can use to reward players. Onto that. I can't think of anything really much else to add in tonight. If you'd like to support the Full Spectrum, the D&D podcast, and the Tuesday Night podcast, and what gets put up on YouTube, you can do that through Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
For $1 a month. That'll also give you access to our Discord, where we have stuff going up there, and you will always get the videos early.
Yep.
In there. Rungren has me. I have a new song on Rumble going up every Sunday at 3, and I'm working on getting my locals thing going. This is kind of experiment for me too, so we'll see how I go. I'll give you the stuff. I got that there. See, YouTube, Patreon, Discord.
Now Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
We have an Instagram now.
Well, I guess technically you have a TikTok, too.
Yeah, we have a TikTok as well. There's stuff going up on those, all for the stuff coming up on the channel soon. Pictures that we'll be taking of the 40K stuff and of the Gundam models when we get back into building those. That'll go up on the Instagram. And then, of course, stuff will keep going like that. Also, super nice. Glad to hear that, Dark. That's awesome. So, yeah, give us a couple weeks to... You'll see pictures starting as early as today, but give us a couple weeks to get it all, like, in a row. That's it. Get all our ducks in a row. That's the phrase I was looking for. Thanks, Brain. But, we'll get all that sorted out, and you'll have stuff going up on the gram, as the kids call it nowadays, I believe. And got to keep trying to, be hip. Just because Gundam came out in 79 doesn't mean that it can't be relevant today. That's all I'm saying.
Which I will be talking about Gundam Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got some thoughts. I wore my Mobile Suit Gundam shirt tonight. I'm going to wear it again Tuesday. It will be washed between them. Don't worry. Just for the sake of the excitement for the conversation. So. But yeah, look us up on all those fun things. We are the Full Spectrum Podcast on Instagram is the nickname, but there's also like Full Spectrum Podcast. So you should find it. My face is on there. And then on TikTok, it is the Full Spectrum. On Twitch, of course, it's TH3 Full Spectrum. Same thing on Twitter. And then on YouTube, it is the Full Spectrum. Not to be confused with Full Spectrum Survival, which always comes up when you get it.
Or
His
Warrior.
channel, yeah, or Full Spectrum Warrior. Neither of those channels were big when we started this channel, and they both got way bigger for us, or way bigger than us.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Would have probably picked a different name in hindsight, but you can't change the past. So, Yeah, look us up on all the fun stuff, and we'll be back Tuesday at 7 CT with another exciting episode of the regular Full Spectrum podcast. Back next week with another episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. And until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungan.
We've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that D&D has to offer.